welcome to our lesson on styles, referencing, and other techniques in word processing. So the first thing we're going to look at today is something called styles. This is a form of indirect formatting. So in the past, we used to highlight a word or a section of a Word document, and then we would apply a specific format like bold, italic, underline, or we would change the color. So we would do one setting at a time, and that's called direct formatting. What we're going to do now is we're going to apply indirect formatting. So all it is, instead of doing one little format at a time, we're now going to do a whole bunch all at once. Okay, so to do this, let's have a look at my document here. And this is a document that you could possibly create to show what kind of careers you would be able to pursue if you took certain subjects. Okay, so I've got languages here and I've got a couple of careers, and then I've just added some other subjects as well, mathematics, etc., etc. Okay, so let's go back to the first one. Okay, so I'm going to highlight the word languages, and on your home tab, right over here, you'll find your styles section. So you don't even have to think about this. They've already loaded some styles for you. You can click on the drop down. You can see there's quite a big variety here. I'm going to select heading 1, and you'll see that the font has now changed. It's a specific kind of font. It's a different color, etc., etc. So you can go, and you can also, if you go to change styles just next to your style settings here, you can go and you can go look at your different style sets. Okay, and you can even change some of the colors if you're not happy with it. So you can use a preset style and just tweak it slightly so that it suits your needs. Alternatively, you can click on the drop down. Okay, excuse me, you can click on the dialog box launcher, and then right at the bottom of your screen you'll find 3 options here: new style, style inspector, and manage style. So you can create your own style. So if you prefer typing in blue font, and if you like Arial, and you like paragraph spacing, which is 1.5 between your lines, you can go set all of those settings and save it as my style. And if you want to use it next time, you can just highlight whatever you've typed and you can apply it like you would apply a bold or italic formatting. Right, so that's actually quite nice. Now the thing with this is that it's not only useful because it saves time when it comes to editing, but it's also very useful because you can use this to create an automatic table of contents. Okay, so like you saw here now, I just want to see what this one's also heading 1, it's just slightly bigger. Okay, so we have our different languages. We've got a language per page, and eventually you're going to type in all your information there. And at the moment, this is already page 2 of 8, so we already have 8 pages there. So if this is a project and you're going to hand it in, hopefully your teacher would require you to have a table of contents on the first or second page of your document. So what some people would do is they would go up back to the top of the first page. So let's scroll up. Here's my table of contents section. And they would start typing away. They'll type in language, and usually they won't even use a tab. They'll put in little dots, and then they'll type in the page number. Now obviously that's quite a long process, and you can make mistakes. And if you were to make changes to your document, then your table of contents is going to be wrong, and you're going to have to go back and change the table of contents again. So if you use styles, if you've applied styles to your main headings, you can use those styles to automatically create this table of contents. Okay, so I've gone and I've applied my styles to my main headings, to language, to mathematics, mathematical literacy, etc., etc., all the other subjects. Okay, so I'm going to move my cursor back to table of contents, and now I'm going to go to references. Going to go to references, and on the left hand side of your screen you'll see here's a table of contents option, and they've got some built-in ones. Here it says contents heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. So that means the computer will go look for any of your fonts or text where you've applied heading 1 or heading 2, the style, and it will use that and insert it into the table of contents. Okay. If you've used your own styles, my style 1, my style 2, then you would just go to insert table of contents over here, and you would follow the on-screen prompts just to make sure that you use the correct styles in your table of contents. Okay, we've used the default settings, so we're just going to select the first automatic table. Okay, let me just scroll back up, and there's your table of contents. Okay, 2 clicks and you have a table of contents with the correct page numbers as well. What's also nice about this is that in most instances, these are also hyperlinks. So if you wanted to jump to a specific section in your document, you can just press Control on your keyboard, click on the section, and it would jump to that page in your document. Okay, right. This is also possible in OpenOffice Writer. So let's quickly go to OpenOffice Writer. Okay, let's go to the top. Okay, when you apply your headings here, you'll find the headings on your toolbar next to the text box where you change your font types. So here's heading 1, heading 2, etc. And you can also add your own styles here. Okay, right. So I've already done that. I've applied my heading styles to the different headings. And now I'm going to insert my table of contents. Okay, to do this, just select where you want to insert your table of contents and then select Insert. Scroll down to Indexes and Tables. Indexes and Tables. Okay. And the first option, the default option, is the table of contents. And you've got a variety of different options here. So you can make changes to the way that your table is going to display, the background color, etc., etc. I'm just going to leave the default settings as is for now. And then select OK. And there's my table of contents in OpenOffice Writer as well. Right, the next thing we're going to look at is referencing. So it's very important that when you copy information from the internet or you borrow a quote from somebody, that you actually reference the information. Otherwise, you might be liable to copyright and plagiarism, and that's very, very serious. I know that at school level, we don't always take it that seriously, but trust me, when you get to university these days, they're not going to stand for that, and you don't want to be expelled because you didn't, put in your citation and your bibliography. So luckily for us, in Word and in OpenOffice Writer, they've got tools that we can use to make it easier for us to reference our information. You still need to find all the details on that particular piece that you used, but now you can feed the information into the computer and the computer will put it into a proper format for you, like the Harvard method of referencing, for instance. Okay, so what we have here is we've got a quote by the late Nelson Mandela, and this was taken from his book Long Walk to Freedom. Okay, so what I've done is I've just typed in the quote, and then I made a screenshot of the information regarding his book. So I just went onto the internet and found the author, the publisher, that kind of thing that you need when you're referencing a particular source. Okay, so back to my Word document now. I'm going to add a source to this particular document. So to do this, I'm going to go to References and then look for your citations and bibliography section. Most people don't ever use this section, okay? And it is silly if you have to reference, because some of them will just sit and type out the entire reference on their own, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to Manage Sources. Okay, before we do that though, let me just quickly go back. You'll see here where it says style. Okay, you've got a couple of styles here that are built into your Office package. So I just want to see if we've got Harvard. There's the Harvard method. You'll need to make sure, but when they give you assignments, they'll tell you use the Harvard method or the APA or whatever. Okay, if in doubt, use the Harvard method. Okay, so make sure that that has been selected first. Okay, let's go to Manage Sources quickly. Okay, and now we're going to add a new source to our document. So select New. Right, at the top of the screen, you'll see the type of source, and you can select the drop down, and here you can select the type of source that you want to cite. So in our case, it's going to be a book, but you could also select something like a website, for instance, and then you'll see the fields will change here at the bottom to accommodate all the information that you should be adding if you want to do a website. Okay, so we're going to use a book, so let's select book. If you click in author, you'll see at the bottom of your screen they even show you what the format should be. Okay, so in our case, the author is Mandela, Nelson. Okay, you can add the title of the book, so Long Walk to Freedom. Freedom with 2 E's only. Right, the year it was published. If you have the information about the city where it was published, you can put that in as well. Let's put in the publisher name. We've got that, MacDonald Burnell. And let's say it was edition 1. Okay, right, so you'll see there's also additional options. So you can say show all bibliography fields. And there's even more that you can actually add in here. And they'll guide you by also using this little star that says recommended field. So they're not going to force you to type in all the information, but they would make a recommendation and say, listen, actually, you should have the city in there. So go find out where this book was published. Okay. Right, so I'm going to deselect show all bibliography fields again. Okay, now we're going to, you'll see here there's a tag name that's automatically created. They've taken the first 3 letters of the author and the last 2 digits of the year, and that's going to be my reference for this particular source. Okay, and I'm going to select OK. Right, so there's my source, and then here at the bottom of your screen, it shows you a preview of what your bibliography is going to look like when you insert this source. Okay. Right, so you can actually, when you do a project and you've used a variety of sources, you can quickly sit and add all your sources in your manage sources section, and then you can just go and insert the bibliography later on. Okay, so I'm just going to add the one source here. Okay, right, so here we have our quote now, and now we're going to insert a citation, okay, an in-text citation. So we've got our little sentence, we're going to go to references again, insert citation, and there's the source that I just added now. So if you have more sources, you'll have a list that will appear here. And I'm going to add that citation, and it's put in the proper format. So it will say the surname of the author and the year that it was published. So that's an in-text citation. Right, so this is not a bibliography just yet. Okay, we're going to look at the bibliography next. Right, so usually we have a separate page where we insert our bibliography. And this is very easy now. You just select references again, go to your citations and bibliography section, select bibliography. They've got some different layouts for you as well, and I'm just going to select the first one, and there's my bibliography with all the information that I provided when I typed in all the information. Right, so it's still a mission. You still need to go find all the information. And you still need to go and find, if you're using websites, for instance, it's sometimes difficult to find out exactly when the website was created. But at the very least, there's a field that says accessed. So at the very least, go type in when you access that information, so that can be put into your bibliography as well. Okay, now this can also be done in OpenOffice, so let's quickly jump to OpenOffice. Okay, and you'll find all of this under Tools, and you're going to go to the option Bibliography Database. So select that, Tools, Bibliography Database. Okay, and you'll see here at the top, I'm scrolling through this now, OpenOffice already has some information in the database. So it creates one database with all the sources in that database. So it works just like a database, just like OpenOffice Base. So you can go and add a source to this table. So you can either just go type it in like that, or you can use the form here at the bottom, like we did in Office 2010, and you can go and add the author, the publisher, etc., 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 and you can add that to your bibliography database. Once you've added your source, you can close your bibliography database. Right, so now we've added the different fields to our database source, and now you can use the Insert menu, to insert your different fields. So you can go to Insert, Indexes and Tables, Bibliography Entry. Yes, I've inserted the data into my database, so from Bibliography Database, and you'll see here at the bottom there's your little short name or your reference. Okay, so I'm just going to use the first one and I'm going to insert that into my document. It's going to look different, slightly different, because we know it's not using the actual Harvard referencing method. Doesn't really matter. And then you can of course go back and also insert the rest of your fields. So you can go to Indexes and Tables. Sorry, that's not correct. Go to Insert and select your cross-reference. That's the right one. Okay, insert the cross-reference, and here you'll find all the fields that you inserted into your little database, and you can build your table of content, or your bibliography rather. Okay, so it's just important that you realize that the tools are available to you. Go play around with them, make sure that you understand how it works, and make sure that you reference all the information that you use when you've done a project. Right, the last concept we're going to look at now is something called mail merge. Okay, now usually if you want to send out an invitation to somebody, or if you want to send multiple copies of one letter to your whole database of friends, some people will actually go, copy and paste the entire Word document and insert the names manually. Some people might even retype the whole document. You never know. Okay, so luckily for us, we've got something called mail merge, and that creates a link between your word processing application and your database source or your Excel spreadsheet, so that you can automatically generate those multiple copies. Okay, so I just want to close some of this, and we're going to go to mail merge now. Okay, so here I've just got I have a simple document that says, dear name, surname, you're invited to the annual some kind of house party. So imagine that we've got different houses in our schools. For instance, we've got Rosaria, Assumpta, and Paulist. You might have red, green, and blue, or Springbokkie and Gemsbokkie and all kinds of funny stuff. Okay, so what usually happens is that you need to create the data source first. So I've created an Excel spreadsheet where I have the names and the surnames and the house that this person belongs to, all neat and typed up in an Excel spreadsheet. It can also be in a Word document or in a CSV file, but usually I find that the spreadsheets work best. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to create a link between this and the Excel spreadsheet. So we're going to go to Mailings, and I'm going to select Start Mail Merge, and I'm going to select Step-by-Step Mail Merge Wizard. On the right-hand side of your screen, the Mail Merge Wizard will appear, and now just read through your steps carefully. The first step just asks you what type of document you're going to be using, in this case a letter. You can also print envelopes or labels, for instance, and that's quite a popular exam question, so just have a look at that. Right, so let's go to our next step. So you click on the hyperlink at the bottom of your screen, next step. Select your starting document. We're going to use the current document that we're working with at the moment. Go to the next step, and now you need to make a note, because on step 3 you need to go browse for that spreadsheet that you created or that was given to you, or the Word document or the Access database. So here you're going to select Browse. That's going to open up your Windows Explorer, and now you're going to have to go look for your file that you're going to use. Okay, so I'm going to go to find my file. There's my data source, and I'm going to open the data source. There's 3 sheets in this particular Excel spreadsheet. My information is on the first sheet, so I'm just going to select sheet 1, then select OK. And now the computer will actually show you what's inside that Excel spreadsheet. So I've got 3 entries there. And on this screen, I can now go and say, you know what, I don't want to invite hosts, so I'm going to deselect hosts if you wanted to, for instance. So you can make some changes here, and you could even do some sorting, put them in alphabetical order, put them in order of the different houses that they're in. So just have a read through all these options. There's lots that you can do here before you even finish your mail merge. Right, select OK. Nothing's going to happen just yet. We need to continue and get to our next step. All right, now, where you see these little angle brackets, okay, this is where you're going to insert the actual field or the column from your spreadsheet. So I usually highlight it, and then I go to more items, and then here you'll have a list of the main headings in your spreadsheet. Okay, so I want to insert the name, then I want to insert the surname. Right, so you can actually now go and delete the extra stuff that was typed in manually. If you click on name now, it should have a gray background, and that will indicate that it's a field that's now connected or linked to some kind of data source. I just want to add a space in between name and surname, and don't forget about the kind of, or the different house that they're in. So I'm going to highlight house, go to more items again, select house and select insert. And just put a space between house and party. And now we're going to go to the next step, and we're going to preview what our letters will look like. Okay, so it's going to go and get that first record or the first entry. So, dear Janine host, you're invited to the annual Assumpta party. Okay, you can scroll through your recipients if you want to. So here's Njabulo. Okay, and he's also invited to a party, but he's invited to the Paulist party. Okay, so now you've got customized letters that you can now send out to people, but we're not done yet. Okay, so have a close look at your screen now. We're going to go to the last step, complete the merge. Okay, at the moment, this document is called, if you look at the title section here, it says Invite Mail Merge. Okay, just keep that in mind. On the last step, you're either going to print the documents to a printer, or you're going to edit the individual letters. I highly recommend editing them first because that's going to open up a second document with all the copies of your different letters. Then you can go through them, make sure that the spacing is correct before you print your letters. Okay, so I'm going to go to edit individual letters. I'm going to merge all my records, just select OK. Right, so a new document is going to open up, and you'll see if you scroll down now, that's page 1, there's the second invitation, and there's the third invitation. And this is now called Letters 1. It's a separate Word document. Okay, right, so I'm just going to close this. You can obviously save it if you want to save it. And that's what Mail Merge does. You can do the same in Open Office. So let's quickly go open Office. Okay, so same story here. The only difference is you need to know where to find this. So on your menu bar, you're going to select Tools, and there's your Mail Merge wizard here in the middle of the page. All right, and then you're going to add all your information. What is important though when it comes to Open is that in Open Office, you're going to have to transform your database or your data source into a database format. Okay. So before you even start the mail merge, you should go to your data sources. So select View and then select Data Sources, right? Okay, and then here you'll see the different data sources. I've got one database added. You can right click and go add more databases. I've got one here at the moment, so I'm going to select that one. I'm going to select the table. And there's table, my contacts that I could potentially use for a mail merge. Okay, so it's just important that you realize that if you've got a spreadsheet, for instance, you're going to have to go to View Data Source first, and you're going to have to add that as a data source before attempting the mail merge wizard. Okay, right. And that concludes our lesson on styles, references, and other techniques in word processing.